you.
The world's population thinks that the NASA program has been canceled, and that really makes me sad. It's going to look a little bit like it today because it is a Sunday, and most government officials do have the weekend off because they work so hard. But in all seriousness, we do have about 13,000 employees that work here at JC, and we are pretty much the heart of NASA. In fact, if you look over to the right side, you can see Building 17. This is the home of the Orion, our nation's next generation space fleet. Astronauts will ride Orion far beyond the Earth orbit, on to deep space missions to asteroids and to Mars. We're leading this historic development effort from here in Houston, making Johnson Space Center responsible for the Orion crew module, crew training, and mock-up facilities as well as mission control. And humans were not built to be out in space. That's pretty obvious. If you look to the left side, you can see Building 21. Astronauts go inside there before they launch into space to get a checkup to see if they're healthy enough to go out there. Once they've been out there for their 6 months, they come back down and they go for another checkup to see how their body fared out in space. Now with the Orion program, that's kind of our biggest issue right now. So we're not going to make landfall on Mars until about 2035, 2040. Why is it going to take about 20 years to do so? Because it's NASA. I'm just kidding. If we were to send people out in space to Mars right now, they would be coming back in a test tube. And what I mean is for every month that you're out in space, you lose 2% of bone mass, which doesn't sound like a whole lot. But after a year out in space, you lose 24% of bone mass. Right now, with current technology for the Orion program, it's going to take us about 9 months to get there and about 9 months to get back. So that's already 18 months. They're going to have to stay on the surface of Mars for about 2 years. The reason for this, they have to wait for Earth and Mars to be closest to each other, and that only happens every 2 years. For one rotation around the Sun for Mars is 2 years instead of 1 year like it is for us here on Earth. So that's a little bit over a 3-year mission. That's a little bit over 70% of bone mass lost. They will be coming back to test tube. So right now, the International Space Station, they're doing a lot of medical research. One of those research being they're trying to find a cure to early stages of osteoporosis, which is that deterioration of bone mass and muscle. They're also trying to find a cure for diabetes and breast cancer, in which they feel they're very close to finding a cure for breast cancer. Protein crystals, enzymes, cancer cells, all that out in space, whenever they cultivate them, grow exponentially. Not only do they grow exponentially, but they grow in 3D, something completely unheard of here on Earth due to the gravity. So there is a huge future in medicine on the International Space Station or just out in space in general. We just need to fund it and actually get it out there. We're now approaching our first stop on our NASA Tram tour, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to ask you guys to please remain seated until we've come to a fully complete stop in front of the building. Once we do, we're going to exit on the right side of the tram and the right side only, and you're going to follow me up to the building. As you leave the tram, please make sure you look back at the road that you were just sitting in. You're going to see a blue-white road letter on the side of the tram, right underneath the road that you were just sitting in. Please remember this blue and white road letter because we ask you to return to the same seats once we're done here at Historic Mission Control. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed your time here at Historic Mission Control and in the air conditioning. We're off to our next stop. I just want to remind you to please remain seated while the tram is in motion at all times. John, as soon as you're ready, we're clear to go.
Honk, honk.
Feel pretty safe here.
As we leave Mission Control here today, I'm going to talk a little bit about space telescopes. But before I do that, I'm going to introduce you to the gray buildings you see off on the left side of the tram and a little bit ahead of us. We have one big building and one smaller building. This is the Space Environment Simulation Laboratory, and it houses 2 very large vacuum chambers, both of which are National Historic Landmarks. The larger chamber, Chamber A, is used to test spacecraft, and Chamber B is used to test space suits and equipment.
Yeah.
On the right side of the building, you're going to see some large gas storage tanks, which hold liquid nitrogen, which they keep at negative 320 degrees below zero. They pump that liquid nitrogen into the vacuum chamber to simulate the cold, harsh atmosphere of space, so they can test the integrity of spacecraft and space equipment. The reason why I'm going to talk about telescopes is because we had the James Webb Telescope inside that building back in December of 2017. You may have heard of the Hubble Space Telescope. It's been observing the universe for years, taking pictures for us. Well, since the Space Telescope uses a typical telescope lens, we found a few things about the human eyeball and space. When things are close to us in space, they appear to be blue. they call that the blue shift, like you're shifting a gear in a car. We can see them, observe them, no problems. But as you go further and further out into space, things start to appear red. In fact, they turn so red to the point where you can't see anything but red. And if you haven't guessed, they call that the red shift. The reason for this, and this is how they theorize the Big Bang happened, is that everything out in space is moving away from each other at such great speeds. But things closer to us in space aren't moving as fast away from us as the objects that are further out in space. So whenever they're in the blue shift, they're on the blue side of the gravitational pull, the blue side of the spectrum. We're able to see them. But whenever they're on the red shift, they're going so fast where they go into the infrared, and the human eye cannot see in the infrared. So with the James Webb Telescope, they equipped that with an infrared lens, so we can actually see those fast-moving objects in space. We're also going to be able to see to the edge of the universe, and we're going to be able to see back in time.
Yeah,
Since light takes time to travel through space, all that light that is coming from the edge of the universe is going to be billions and billions of years old. So that image we're going to be seeing is going to be billions and billions of years old. They're going to launch the James Webb Telescope in 2021, so start looking forward to pictures then. I'm really excited about that telescope. As we turn the corner here and you look off to the left side, a little bit ahead of us, you're going to see Building 31. This is the Astromaterials Research and Exploration Science Building. Scientists here help train the astronauts, monitor debris in Earth orbit, plan and operate robotic missions across the solar system, and conduct research on samples brought back from the moon, comets, and asteroids. The world's largest collection of moon rocks, plus meteorites, comets and asteroid dust, and even atoms from the sun, are preserved, protected, and distributed here. We're still conducting research on the materials brought back from the Apollo program. We know little to nothing about our moon. In fact, a little fun fact about the moon is our moon is actually bigger than any other moon out there. Well, not technically, but it's bigger than what it's supposed to be. And relative to their planet, every moon pretty much is, like I said, relative to their planet. But ours is really big. In reality, it's supposed to only be about 13 miles in diameter, full radius. And it's a lot bigger than that. So we actually don't know why the moon is as big as it is, but we want to go to find out. Within the next few years with the Orion program, we're actually going to start going back to the moon on a regular basis. They're going to start establishing a base to kind of treat it as a halfway point between us and Mars. Now that's pretty exciting, can't wait for that. And real quick about those deer you see on the right side, Johnson Space Center is a wildlife reserve. We have more than 250 deer living on site. We also have rabbits, turtles, and even our own alligator, Miko. And Miko does stand for something since it is NASA. It stands for Main Engine Cutoff. And if you look to the right side of the tram, you're going to see Building 5. This is the mission simulator and training facility where every NASA astronaut since the Gemini program has trained. Today, it houses high-fidelity simulators at different modules of the International Space Station, which help astronauts to live and work in weightlessness, including how to train on any modules where they can do experiments on. Now, the sessions can be part of the standalone session here in the building, or they can be tied into the neutral buoyancy lab that we have about 4 miles away, or to our own mission control here at Johnson Space Center. We also have partner nations for our International Space Station that also have mission controls, and those are in Russia and in Japan. So whenever the ISS is on their side of the world, they take over, and whenever it's on our side, we take over. And so they can also tie those simulations into those mission controls across the world. And if you've seen the movie Apollo 13, there's a scene in the movie where those 3 astronauts doing mission simulations and training for during flight. Building 5 is where they did all those simulations in. Now, I talked earlier a little bit about how long it's going to take us to get to Mars with the Orion program, but I get the question just about every day, why are we going to Mars? Well, we are humans and we're extremely curious, and if we can do so, why not? But seriously, we did actually find ancient organic material on the surface of Mars about a month and a half ago. That means there was something living on the surface of Mars. Whether it was microorganisms, much like how our Earth started out itself, or it was plant and creature-based. Whatever it was, there was something living on the surface of Mars. Now there is not. And we want to find out what happened to Mars to make it the red desertous planet that it is. We also found a frozen lake on the surface of Mars. In many cases here on Earth, whenever we find frozen lakes, there's still water trapped underneath that ice that have colonies of microorganisms, some of which are so ancient that we don't even see them today anymore. So the case could very well be the same on the surface of Mars. And Mars is our next frontier. And like I said, we are humans, so we want to know everything we want to know and that we can even get our hands on. So if we can go to Mars, we can unlock a lot of mysteries of the universe that we still don't even know yet. NASA has a huge future ahead of it. And with the Orion program,
Oh, look at that, the light's working.
Take another step forward for human race to see what is out there, to see if we're alone, or to see what else is out there to discover.
That's cool. It all looks abandoned.
We're now driving through the Johnson Space Center Memorial Grove. On the right is the Employee Grove, where trees are planted in memory of NASA employees, families, and other individuals who made noteworthy contributions to America's space program. On the left, you see a circle of trees set back from the road.
Just like what's on
this modest stand of oaks is the Astronaut Memorial Grove, established for the 10th anniversary of the January 28, 1986 loss of the Space Shuttle Challenger and its crew. Another group of oaks was added after the deaths of the crew of Space Shuttle Columbia on February 1st, 2003. We'll pause here for a moment. 3 days after the loss of Columbia, President George W. Bush came to JSC and spoke these words.
To leave behind Earth and air and gravity is an ancient dream of humanity. For these 7, it was a dream fulfilled. Each of these astronauts had the daring and discipline required of their calling. Each of them knew that great endeavors are inseparable from great risks, and each of them accepted those risks willingly, even joyfully, in the cause of discovery. America's space program will go on. This cause of exploration and discovery is not an option we choose. It is a desire written in the human heart. We are that part of creation which seeks to understand all creation. We find the best among us, send them forth into unmapped darkness, and pray they will return. They go in peace for all mankind, and all mankind is in their debt.
Spaceflight is neither safe nor easy. And while we grieve at the death of an astronaut, that doesn't stop us from exploring space. For many of us, that loss strengthens our resolve and makes our work here ever more important. As we move into the future, we will remember the crews of Columbia, Challenger, and Apollo 1, and all the talented men and women who dedicated their lives to America's space program.
There's somebody actually in there? No?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're now approaching our second and final stop for this NASA Tram tour today, Rocket Park, home to the legendary Saturn V. You may stay at this park as long as you'd like. There's a tram that goes to the park every 10 to 15 minutes to take you back to Space Center. You can take any tram back, and you do have to take a tram back to go to Space Center Houston. Whenever you are ready to go, you're going to exit through the covered sidewalk where the awning is at. That's what will be the next tram that you can catch to go back. If you've been waiting to use the bathroom, it's going to be the small tan building between the pits and the big white building. And yes, you can't go inside the big white building. That's where the real Saturn V rocket is at. That's actually a mixture of Apollo 18 and Apollo 20. They had 18 built all the way whenever they canceled the Apollo program, but they used the third stage to launch Skylab in 1973. So the third stage they had built for Apollo 20, they took that and they put it on top of this rocket, making the Saturn V that's in this building the only full complete Saturn V rocket with all real parts left in existence. Quite literally the last dinosaur of its time. I hope you enjoyed your NASA Tram tour with your host Reed and your driver John. If you didn't enjoy your tour today, my name was Ed and our driver was Alex.
Oh. Here is the little Joe 2. Pretty big. And there's a QR code right next to it. Anybody have a reader? Anybody have a QR code reader? Mercury redstone. Ah. Damn. It's pretty small, actually.
Yeah, that's tiny. It's clear.
Dang. Look at that. Whoa! It's a fully complete Saturn V rocket. It's huge. It's absolutely massive. Jeez. It's huge. Damn. Yeah, it's freaking huge. It's almost as big as us.
Yeah, this whole entire bottle comes off. You gotta get yourself out of the atmosphere, Mom.
It takes that much to get out.
Exiting velocity. True. Oh, look.
There's a different thing like itself from the station.
It's huge.
The propellers ఉంటాయి. Everything will have. Unit పడిపోతుంది then so that's how it will fit it. The job is simple.
Huh.
ఉంటాయి inside.
It sheared off somehow. Pretty much. Oh. Whoa. It's freaking huge. Oh. 1980. Damn.
Apollo 17. Okay.
It is the Illuminati. Excuse me. There's the famous line. The famous line that has been quoted time and time again. Houston, we've had a problem here.
But they say, hey, Houston.
Yeah. It's been cut down to Houston, we have a problem. April 1970. Malfunction forced cancellation of lunar landing. Damn. I think that Saturn V used to be on display somewhere out here.
I think it was in the same place it was at. I think they built a building around it.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be it. The thing is, because of all the weather things here, it ended up degrading. I think there's even a piece of the original assembly.
Ladies and gentlemen, currently on board this tram, we have to begin the crew to head back to Space Center Houston. Please remain seated.
So the Space Center building is actually a new addition
Keep your arms, legs, and other objects inside the tram at all times.
compared to everything else around here.
Ladies and gentlemen, go
The
ahead
Space
and
Center
take your seats.
building is new
Go
compared
back
to everything
Space
else
Center
around
Houston.
here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, remain seated while the tram's in motion. Joshua, whenever you're ready, we're clear to roll out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be ending today's show at the very familiar site from whenever you first started your tour today. If you look over to your left, you're going to see the Saturn V building. You got the arrow of Saturn V on the front of it. Now we know from the tour that the Saturn V is 363 feet tall, making it the most powerful, heavy, and tallest rocket ever built. And this rocket was safely able to get us as far as the landing and back. However, when we go to Mars, we're going to get a bigger rocket in order to carry all the supplies we're going to be going on with as well, as well as how to get us there as well. That's why NASA is developing a new space launch system rocket, or simply the SLS. Now, the SLS is slated to start the test launch alongside its companion the Orion capsule in 2020 onboard EM-1 or Exploration 51. This marks the first unmanned test of the Orion capsule and the SLS together. Even though this is an unmanned test, ladies and gentlemen, eventually we're going to be moving on to the manned test of this rocket, and then we're going to be moving on to our moon landing, and then we're going to be doing one stage process of England to travel to Mars sometime in 2035 to 40 years.
I wonder if there's actually a flight.
So right now, starting in 2020, we're going to open up the first
Possibly.
chapter of a new book.
Maybe at some point.
Old runway?
Yeah.
And once again, landing on the surface of the red planet.
What?
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude our tour today of the Johnson Space Center. Thank you for joining us. Please make sure at this time you're gathering all of your personal belongings with you. Cell phone, backpack, car keys, children. Children left on the chair are going to be donated to the future of manned space flight. On behalf of your driver, Joshua, and myself, Stephen, once again, we thank you for taking the NASA tram.
It will be donated to the Goblin King.
Has been and continues to be out of this world. At this time, you can exit from the right-hand side of the tram and the right-hand side of the tram only, and proceed back inside through the patio.